I'm not going to let you say things that are untrue, sir.
So, sir, the truth is that $20 million flowed through this family, whichever way it went. There's no records of taxes being paid. Statutes have run, and you're saying that is
a talking point that you've repeated, but it is not actually what's in the bank records, sir. What's in the bank records is that $15 million of that money never even went to the Biden family. The other $5 million, there is exactly zero indication
where did that $15 million
go to?
Where did that money go to then?
To Devin Archer and other business associates related to President Biden.
There's over 20 shell corporations. Why would you set up a shell corporation that had absolutely nothing?
There's actually evidence from the Oversight Committee that those corporations had legitimate business dealings. You may define them as shell corporations the way that you see it.
Then what are they?
Some of them were consulting firms. Some of them were lobbying firms.
No, they weren't. Listen. If you want to do the interview, you just do the interview, but you're asking me a question. I'm trying to give you an answer, but you're
not giving me an honest answer, sir. You're repeating a talking point that has been debunked repeatedly. Have you read the bank records? Have you seen the bank records?
I have seen.
Do they say Joe Biden's name on them?
They say Hunter Biden's name, and what was the
product he wasn't vice president.
Influence to the big guy.
He wasn't vice president.
Gave name, date.
My goodness, I have much more to play for you from that brutal interview on CNN where CNN host Boris Sanchez just absolutely annihilates the arguments being made by Republican Congressman Tim Burchett. And to those of you who watch every single segment on the channel or listen to the full podcast, I know it's been heavy on the Republican impeachment effort coverage lately, but as I said in a different segment, they do not get to lie about Biden for years straight, and then when it all epically implodes, have us just let it go. We're going to talk about this until the bitter end, so that as many people know as possible how ridiculous this all is. And because I've gone over so many times the reasons why Republicans' allegations are baseless and crazy, I won't do it again here. Reference my past segments. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I did a segment yesterday where we went point by point, and I'll put that link in the description. But I do want to stay on the subject because of how good this interview was. And quickly, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you have liked this video and the alert bell is clicked so that you get notifications when I upload a video. And I have much more to say on this, but first, here's more from the interview.
Sir, there is a huge distinction. Pardon me, sir. There's a huge distinction. There's a huge distinction between whether it's appropriate for the family of a president to make money off of his name and whether that's ethical. But the question is specifically about what Joe Biden did when he was in office in vice president, whether he abused his power or whether he enriched his family members. And right now, there is zero evidence coming from the Oversight Committee that when he was vice president, he did either of those things.
There's $20 million that flowed through. You saw these accounts.
That's incorrect, sir. The bank records don't reflect that.
No, sir.
They don't specifically say. I looked at the bank records. They don't say that Joe Biden got any money from them. Have you read the bank records? Because they don't list Joe Biden's name. I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to let you say things that are untrue, sir.
So before playing the third clip, I'll respond to that. What Republicans have been doing is gathering a bunch of uncontroversial pieces of information and then misstating it and presenting it in a sort of suspicious voice type of way. So they got this 20 million figure by, I guess, adding up different amounts connected to businesses Hunter or Jim Biden were connected to, and then saying that that mysteriously flowed through the Biden family for no reason. But as Boris Sanchez pointed out, it's just not accurate. First of all, the 20 million figure is wrong, and the accurate number of 5 million was for purposes that, from all we can tell, were legitimate business and completely separate from Joe Biden. So you just can't point to a family member of a politician making money and then baselessly claim that is proof of influence peddling. It makes no sense, and it's dishonest. Now, by the way, Tim Burchett, you just don't seem to really have a solid grasp on the dishonest talking points that you're supposed to be espousing. And because I've been following this whole debacle so closely since the beginning, I've started to be bothered by this reoccurring theme. There are so many Republicans who say the craziest things against Joe Biden, and then if they're pressed at all, instantly they fall apart and can't defend what they just said. And that's why, for the most part, they only do interviews on Fox News and the like. And the reason this bothers me so much is because how dare you, Tim and others, so dishonestly attack someone and then not even give them the respect of not being lazy. Not only, Tim, are you lying about Biden, you haven't even prepped with your staff enough to make it seem like you have a strong case against him or seem like you genuinely believe this garbage. Come on. And we've seen this in hearings too, over and over. Republicans not only don't have the facts on their side with this, but they also never really seem to have preparation on their side, which is the least they could do if they're going to be so dishonest. And I've said tongue in cheek so many times in the past on the show, if you're going to try to deceive us, be better at it. Give us the respect of not being dishonest and dumb. Yikes. Here's another moment from this.
And on that very same day was the day that he cut a check to Joe for several $100,000. So, you know, I loaned my brother $50 2 Christmases ago, but $200,000 seems to be a stretch. I don't know what kind of pickup truck he was buying, but that was pretty extensive. I think if you just followed that trail right there, I mean, you play down the 5. Go ahead.
Those two are conflated, though, because the $200,000 was, according to documents that are coming out from the Oversight Committee, was a loan that Joe Biden gave to his brother James that was then paid back. The documents support that it was a loan, and that also happened in 2017 when Joe Biden was not vice president. And then you have the pickup truck money that was apparently given to Hunter Biden when he was struggling through his addiction. And that money was then given back by Hunter to his father, also supported by documentation, also happening in 2018 when Mike Pence was vice president.
So just great job there from Boris Sanchez. He's been really great lately with these sorts of interviews. And I wish he had a primetime slot or something so more people would be able to observe it. Because so often what we see in these interviews is the anchors themselves haven't read up enough on the nitty-gritty details of how all of these lies are being built. So they'll ask a question about Republicans' investigation, and even though the anchor can say, hey, in a general sense, there's no evidence of what Republicans are saying, when a Republican's able to go on a 2-minute filibuster with all these buzzwords about bank records in China and blah, 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 often the anchor just sort of has to move on because they can't get into every little detail and dismantle it. So a ton of credit to Boris Johnson because he clearly knew his stuff and has gone through the documentation and understands it well, which takes work. It takes a lot of time. When I've tried to go get to the bottom of where all these claims are coming from, and you eventually find the first person who misstated it, then the next person reiterated it but misstated a little bit more, and really it came from this document, but they're saying they came from this one from a different time, it gets very blurry and muddy, and that's what they thrive off of, the confusion of that. If you have not watched episode 1 of Deprogrammed yet, the show where I spend a day with Trump supporters and see if I can convince them to give up their support for him and literally throw their MAGA hat in the trash, you can watch it by clicking up here. Please do. Lots of work went into it, and so I want you all to see it and enjoy it, share it around, and then down there you can subscribe to the channel.